Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Hooligan Chronicles. And today, another guest, another friend, very old friend. I don't mean it. I don't mean
Very
it
old.
literal. I've been 48
Pun
guests,
intended.
so that completely came out inappropriate, but not planned. My good friend TJ of Fitness Gurus. TJ, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Hey,
And glad to have you here.
hey, Robert, always a pleasure. And I think the old thing is, I mean, it's true. So if it's true, then it's true. What can you say?
Listen, you know what? I mean, to be honest with you, sometimes, probably when I turned 40, it started fucking with me a little bit where I was like, shit, I'm getting old, and things like that.
Yeah,
Here and there, it still happens. It does happen. But you know what? I mean, look at you and look at me. And I'm going to say it in the cockiest and most arrogant way
yeah,
possible. You know what? I own a gym, obviously, you know what? And sometimes I see, even at Apollon, sometimes I see guys in their 20s and 30s. And I feel good about myself. I mean, I think that today I'm maybe even in
yeah,
better shape than 10 years ago. And you're in phenomenal shape for as long as I've known you. You work out on a regular
yeah.
basis, you take care of yourself. So I
I
hate when
think
people
it's.
say age is just a number because it's not just a number and we both know it.
I'll tell you, we're gonna probably argue on a bunch of stuff of sayings, but like I think the biggest thing, Robic, for me with age, I have to tell you, it's less about even myself physically because I think we're still at that age that you can still maintain. Age is gonna hit us at some point.
100%.
I always say to people, even a Mercedes, which is well-built car, it's not gonna drive for 100 years. It's gonna break. At some point, it's gonna break. So we're gonna break also. I think it's more, and I don't want this podcast to be morbid, but we talked about some stuff off podcast, right? But it's
Yeah.
people around, dude, getting old. You just see people around you are getting old, and then just statistically, more people get sick, more people, it's you can't stop that math around you, right? People at a certain age, there's just more shit happening around you. So I think I feel more old just statistically around me. More people are sick and they get shit happens to them. So I think the stat is more than anything else age. But yeah, I think still I was looking at someone today that can't remember who, but was an actor. You know how old is Brad Pitt?
He's in his mid to late 50s.
Dude is like 59.
59, yeah. Look at him.
Amazing. The
Looks
dude,
amazing.
unbelievable. And Sandra Bullock is like 60. What the hell, right? So there's definitely it's doable. It's doable. They're gonna look good for a few more years, but at some point, even a Mercedes is gonna look like shit.
You know what? I had this conversation actually with Carolina today. We were having lunch, and I said to her, I mean, a lot of people wish me happy birthday, and it always feels good,
Yeah,
when people congratulate you with something or, wish you a happy birthday. You feel like you have friends, you have people that know you, that like you, respect you, etc. So it's good. And of course, a few people pointed out, even at the gym, wow, you're 48, you look good for your age. So I know it's a compliment, although it doesn't feel like a compliment when somebody
right.
says for your age,
Yeah, yeah,
So I laugh at it. It bothers me to an extent, it does. But at
yeah,
the same time,
yeah,
it is a compliment. But you know what I said to Carolina? I said, I'm 48. I think personally that for 48, I look pretty good. I mean,
yeah.
decent enough shape. I think
Definitely.
I look good. I'm proud of the way I look for my age, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but at the same time, what you said just now, I totally agree. It can hit you at any point at this.
yeah. And
Age.
statistically, it's gonna hit you more. There's more
You can
chances.
look great today. You can feel great
Yeah,
today, and
yeah,
tomorrow you
yeah,
feel like an old fucking car.
yeah, yeah. And
And that's the reason why
statistically,
we have to
this,
enjoy life to the fullest while we can.
yeah, yeah. And statistically, this time I agree with you completely on that part. The statistically, the chances are just getting worse every year, right? It's just the reality. Listen, I think the point that you made at the end is the right one. You need to enjoy, make the most out of it, even though it's easier said than done, but make the most out of it while you can. Anyway, enough morbid
Yeah,
conversations
you
about
know
being
what?
old. Come on.
I, uh, I, you know what? This is the sixth episode that we have, and this is the only one that I'll be honest, I did not prepare at all.
Okay.
Because I thought, you're probably one of people that I've known from the beginning, from starting the journey in
Yeah.
supplement industry business. And at first I was like, you know what, let me plan it out, let me write it down and stuff like that. And then I felt, I rather have just a conversation like you and I have on the phone, where we talk
Yeah.
from one topic and then we go to completely opposite direction, where we
Yeah.
argue and then we laugh and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I think this is what our relationship, our friendship based on. Right off the
Yeah.
bat, because Carolina touched on this during her interview, so I don't want to look
Yeah.
like a dick and not acknowledging that fact. So I just want to make sure that I compete with her right now. So before we start, I want to thank you for everything that you've done for Apollon Nutrition. Today we are brand of the year, 2 years in a row. We accomplished a lot, and I've known you pretty much after about a year or two since we started the brand. And
Yeah.
Carolina is 100% right, and nobody would dare argue with her, of course. You played a huge, huge, huge role in our success, and we are beyond grateful. You're a close friend.
Yeah.
We appreciate you. We love you, and I just want to thank you for that.
No,
So,
my pleasure.
since our friendship started from Apollon Nutrition, obviously, and
Yeah.
obviously I got to know you as a reviewer. I had no idea about you. I just saw your review. I liked it. You had balls and you spoke your mind. I'm going to ask you a tricky question. And like I said, our
Yeah.
conversation is going to go from joking to serious. This is a serious
Sure.
question,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
has to do with Apollon Nutrition. So before you reviewed, I believe either you reviewed Hooligan or Assassin first. I don't remember which one.
Hooligan, I think. Hooligan.
Hooligan, probably.
Yeah.
All Nutrition was very under the radar, local gym brand. Nobody knew about us,
Yeah.
nobody anything. Hooligan, from reviewers or from channels or from, obviously fitness informants and whatnot, got a lot of heat, a
Yeah.
lot of
I
criticism.
remember. Yeah.
And this is it's going to be a hard question for you to answer, but I know you're going to give
Yeah.
your best. There were two companies. One was Apollon Nutrition, which was not even considered a company.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, there was NutriBio. By the way, I have
Yeah.
tremendous respect, for NutriBio. I
Yeah.
respect what they've done, and I think it's one of my favorite companies, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but NutriBio was actually just getting praised by everybody,
Right.
and for a good reason. Don't get me wrong, for
Yeah.
a very good reason.
Yeah.
They deserve it. So Apollon Nutrition, everywhere where it popped out because of 600, 700 milligram of caffeine and stuff like that, we were shit on, like big time.
Right.
Everybody ignored the fact that, I mean, the industry people, everybody ignored the fact that the products were loaded. They were not just stims.
Mm-hmm.
They were not
Yeah.
just caffeine. They were loaded good products.
Yeah.
So while everybody shit on us and everybody praised NutriBio, I got introduced to Fitness Deal News first, and my first review that I caught you doing was bashing NutriBio flavor. And I was shocked
The
because I was
protein.
like,
Yeah.
first of all, I reached out to you because in my
Yeah.
mind, I always selfishly thought that I'm the only one with balls. And here I see
Right.
this guy who is going on a rampage, absolutely destroying the
I
NutriBio. I
remember
love
that
the fact
one.
it was
Yeah.
vanilla protein flavor. You absolutely
Was it
destroyed it.
vanilla? Yeah. I
And then I
remember.
was
It was
like, you know what?
disgusting.
It seems like this guy has balls. And I reached out to you, and I honestly thought after I saw your following and everything, I thought you were going to tell me to go fuck myself. But you said, yeah, send it to me. I sent you, and I was praying to God that you're not going
Yeah.
to destroy us. I was literally fucking
Yeah.
scared shit.
It's
And all
funny,
of a sudden,
Robert.
you give praise to Hooligan, and not just
Yeah.
caffeine. You actually praise the product, and like Carolina
Yeah.
said, the orders just like started
Yeah.
fucking coming left and right. So my question is, after this long
Yeah.
speech, how difficult it is, how challenging it is for you to stay true to yourself and say bash a product that everybody loves for a good reason,
Right.
and then praise a product that everybody within the industry says is garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. I think uh, it's not actually. It's for me, honestly, it was never hard. There's a couple of things in this thing that are a big chunk of why I do this and how I do this, which play into play. By the way, you sure it was vanilla? I'm trying not to remember if it
It
was
was
vanilla.
vanilla.
You're probably right. Probably right.
I just don't
I
remember
remember that.
isolate or a blend, but it
No,
was
I don't. Yeah,
vanilla.
I don't remember. I remember it was shit. There's listen. I think for me, when I'll split this into two. One, honestly, at the end of the day, when I took the NutraBio stuff and when I took the Apollon stuff, and we're going to talk about this later probably, but I literally ignore the brand, the label. I ignore everything, right? I just don't care, because at the end of the day, what we're looking for, the people are looking for experience. Now, when I reviewed probably the NutraBio protein, I probably said it looks like high quality protein, but it tastes like shit. Like I wasn't like I was very clear it tastes like shit. And by the way, speaking of like labels and stuff, people on the comments, man, on that review, I remember now. You remember, like people went ape shit. What do you mean? Flavor doesn't matter. It's functionality, dude. It's a protein. Flavor matters, with all due respect. So, and then with the Apollon stuff, listen, I think there's a couple of things that come into that. Like I was not afraid of the 600. It was 600 because I remember the thumbnail was men versus 600 milligrams of
Yeah.
caffeine. Very good title for a thumbnail. I think, for me, it was, when we talked and you talked about what Apollon stands for, I think I understood the logic, right? That's number one. I understood the logic of what you're trying to do for the brand, which is loaded formulas, definitely going on the edge, right? Like trying to convey a message of hardcore and living on the edge, so to speak, right? Which I really appreciated. And then I tried the product and it was good. And then again, it comes to the same point. I don't care, right? I don't care if it's who's the brand, who people give a shit, like if people like trash talk it. Also, I'm not from the industry, right? So when everybody trashed 600 milligrams of caffeine, you're gonna hurt some. I remember that, right? Like Fitness Informant and a bunch of others. I can't. Which I by the way, I didn't know who they are. Like I don't give a shit. So, and they like trash it. I don't care. Like you take this. I didn't die. Number one, I didn't die. It wasn't even like there was no heart racing. There was nothing, right? With the original Hooligan, even until today, there's nothing like that. So for me, it was really easy. I just try it. I take it. By the way, on NutraBio, Robik, I actually agree. Amazing company, done really well, built an amazing brand that's in literally, well distributed, well respected, consistent. But the freaking vanilla protein sucked dicks. What can you do? It was disgusting. So the fact that they're a great brand, what can you do? So yeah, so for me it's easy. This stuff is easy. I'm not from the industry. I don't give a shit. I don't know anyone anything, right? I don't need this for my well-being, right? I do this for fun and I give it as it is.
You know what? This actually kind of leads into a question, a follow-up: flavors.
Yeah.
There were numerous times. I mean, some of the assassin flavors in Hooligan, admittedly, taste
Oh man.
really, really bad. But not only Hooligan, you actually defended Hooligan and you defended Assassin, but not only Apollon, you defended actually pretty much
Everyone.
every workout where you stated numerous times, fuck flavors. Everybody
Yeah,
knows
fuck
that.
flavors.
But do you think that you are contradicting yourself with the fact that you're bashing a protein flavor?
No, I'll tell you also why not. Right?
Yeah, no, I want to
Because
know.
I always say it. I say this in my, but I'll split my answer into two because I want to be fair. One, I think with pre-workouts, right? With pre-workouts, the immediate effect is supposed to be an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5, 3 hours, right? Immediate, you feel it. That's why I like the pre-workout nootropic, the steam category, because you feel it. So it's 3 hours. Let's say the flavor sucks, okay? How long is it gonna suck for? 2 seconds? Seriously? 2 seconds. You drink it, 2 seconds, and let's assume you have like an amazing pre-workout. You're gonna be high as a kite, flying, pumping iron for 3 hours, and sucked for. Dude, give me one thing in life that you wouldn't suffer 2 seconds for 3 hours. I can't even think about it. Like literally, there's nothing. Anything I'll tell you, hey Robik, listen, it's gonna be a bit bad for 2 seconds, but it's gonna be amazing for 3 hours later. Whatever this thing is, sex, right? Whatever this thing is, you're gonna do it. So anyway, so the ROI doesn't make any sense for me. Now, also with the pre-workout, right? You don't need to take a lot of water, so just sip it. It's gonna be disgusting. Chew a gum and move on, right? Now, if you're going to do like an EAA, you're not feeling it anyway, right? There's no one's feeling an EAA with all due respect. No one's feeling the you don't feel protein also. So and the last thing is with stimulants, it is actually a bit harder, right? It is harder. It's becoming easier maybe with time and science, whatever, but it is harder to flavor. So if you combine all of this together, and I'm saying, listen, I'm feeling it for 3 hours, the return on investment is there, I don't give a shit. With protein, I don't feel anything. It's not that hard to flavor, with all due respect. So freaking do a good job and flavor this shit, right? It's a part of this thing, or EAA. And that's it. So for me, the return on investment is not there, and that's why I'm not I don't feel like I'm contradicting myself. Now, I will tell you this. Some of these, there's like theoretically, you could argue that in 2023, and I've said it in some of my latest reviews, in 2023, there's really no reason on paper to have something that's totally terrible, like that you're afraid to take. There's no reason, really. There's no reason, because there's enough like super high steam shit out there that, again, I'm not talking about amazing flavor. Just make it not scary, tolerable, right? For me, between tolerable and amazing, really, the ROI doesn't. I'm trying now one, not an Apollon one, that I'm telling you, I'm and I'm Mr. Fuck Flavors, dude. I'm like preparing myself before I drink this shit, right? Like, I'm putting the top of the protein, 3 chewing gums, something next to it, because I know it's gonna suck so bad that I'm like a gag effect. Like, literally you want to throw up. If you literally want to throw up, 2023, we shouldn't have pre-workouts that you want to throw up, right? It just doesn't make any sense. But not tasty? Who the fuck cares? Seriously, 3 hours of high.
No, it's a good point.
It's like a blowjob from an ugly girl.
If you can remember, because you reviewed so many fucking pre-workouts, it's insane. If you can remember, just to illustrate your point,
Yeah.
what is the best tasting pre-workout you remember having, but the effects were absolutely terrible? Like basically a shit pre-workout. And on the opposite spectrum, what is the all-time worst pre-workout you ever had, but it gave you a phenomenal workout?
Yeah.
Again, if you remember.
The worst one is easy. There's a couple actually. I'll give you 2 worst, very bad ones that are amazing effects. Like, listen, there's so many great tasting pre-workouts out there, right? There's just a lot of great tasting pre-workouts that don't do anything. So I can go on and on and on with it's an infinite list. C4 tastes amazing. This thing is like BCAA, EAA. I mean, amazing, but it's such a shit pre-workout. There's tons of them. I would say C4 is easy for me to say because it's easy to bash. By the way, some of the cage muscle sport, like, again, I understand it's supposed to have a purpose. Tastes amazing, but it's like it doesn't do shit for me. I'm gonna drop a review very soon of pre-workout that a legendary pre-workout that has a new flavor. The new formula flavor is amazing. Dude, this thing doesn't do shit. Like, it's the new Ares Titanium. Man, I'm telling you, that thing, RIP, Ares Titanium, they killed it. I don't know what they put. Labels are just labels. By the way, label looks amazing, DMHA, blah, blah. Dude, shit is like a sleeping aid. So, by the way, worst tasting, our combined one, 6.5. Oh, man. That fuck flavor one, whew, that was rough. But the effects were, man, that thing literally one of the strongest. I mean, sometimes too strong for some people, but this shit like slapped so hard. The new Flame by Dark Labs. I don't know if you tried Flame. I think you tried the original one. I think you tried version 1, the euphoric one. So version 2, they changed it a bit. It slaps harder. Dude, that flavor, ouch. Like bad. But listen, bad, not to throw up, just bad, right? It's just, by the way, 6.5, which fuck flavors was bad, but you didn't throw up. It was just like, oh my God, chewing gum.
That's chewing gum worthy. Tolerable.
Yeah, tolerable. Like chewing gum. Like, take a chewing gum. Again, should you try? Should everyone try to make a flavor that's okay? At least okay, yeah. But listen, I'll tell you where the shittiest thing is, that the flavor sucks and the pre-workout sucks. That's really bad. That's a bad one. Because then there's no ROI. Then seriously, you just take it and there's no ROI. Yeah, I think that people make, again, listen, if you have 2 amazing pre-workouts, experience-wise, I mean, and one tastes really good and one tastes like an horse ass, then obviously choose the one that tastes good, right? Like, why you don't want to be disgusting. But again, if you take the experience, I couldn't care less. Honestly, you know how many times, so Robert, you know, I do a lot of reviews. Swear to God, when I get to do the review, because I do the review after 4 or 5 times I try, I don't even remember I never, I have, you look at my reviews, I have to look at the tab to remember the label, and I usually take it like 3 or 4 hours before. I don't remember. I don't even look at the flavor. Who cares? I just drink it, move on with my life.
You
Simple.
know, not many people know you the way I know you. I've been to your
Yeah,
house, you've been to my house.
yeah,
We are obviously friends, and we've been friends for a number of years now. Our families are friends.
yeah.
I'm going to ask you something that, like I said, I know you more than average John knows you. I know
Sure. Yeah,
you built a successful career. You're a successful man. You're a self-made man, and obviously, I admire you for that because you do deserve respect. But you got into reviewing products not as a
yeah,
career. I mean, I know that for a
yeah,
fact. You didn't
yeah,
jump into this. For those that don't know, I mean, I'm gonna
yeah,
explain about you.
yeah.
You
Sure.
jumped into this not because you needed money and
Yeah,
as a career move or anything like that. You had a way, way, way better career and life, and
still do. Yeah.
you were making more than enough to provide for your family. But I would call it, let's call it passion or hobby. I mean, I
Yeah,
think it's
yeah,
fair enough.
definitely,
But
definitely.
yet the hobby, not even passion, the hobby turned you into a rather successful and known reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
However, there is other spectrum. There are guys who are literally jumping because I know I get fucking messages nonstop on a daily basis and they drive me insane. Send me a top of this, send me a top of that. I'm
Right,
gonna review
right,
a
right.
product, I'm gonna review this. Guys, you looked up their profile, they're clearly trying to make a living off of it. They're trying to get
Right.
into it, they're
Yeah,
trying to dive into it. And we've seen those reviews, we've seen those reviewers.
yeah,
And I'm trying to be as nice and as professional as I can be because I'm the interviewer, but they suck.
yeah,
They literally
yeah.
suck.
Some of them for sure.
So,
Yeah.
what would you say? Why is that somebody who wants in literally to make a living and to make career out of it sucks and fails? And on the other spectrum and on the other side, we have a guy who
Yeah,
doesn't need it, who has a successful career and treats it as a hobby. I mean,
yeah,
you. And he's
yeah,
very successful and known. What would you say if you mind revealing
yeah,
the secret to that?
yeah. I think that you can look at the other ones also that are successful today, but I think it's less about your motive, to be honest, Robik. I think it's less about the motive and more about can you add value to people's life? And then when I say value, it's not necessarily the quality of your review, because sometimes it's entertainment, sometimes just, Eddie, which we all miss, right? I was watching his shit like it's a vlog, right? We talked a lot about this, right? It wasn't a review for. I don't even remember what the hell did he review. Everything was like a comedy show, right? It was like watching 30 minutes of Seinfeld. So if you can add value, so I don't think the incentive, the motive, I don't think that's a deciding criteria. I think to a large extent for most people, it's just can you be on a stage, on a video, be entertaining, add value, share an experience in a way that people appreciate and understand the experience, and share knowledge sometimes. And there's different ways. So I don't think it's the motive. Like you can find people that were, let's say, super motivated by money or fame, whatever motivated them, and they were successful, right? Just because they are good at what they do. And sometimes it's not. So I don't think, like, if you look at Ari, which we both like, right? And I love watching his video. I just literally enjoy watching Ari's videos, right? I literally enjoy it. He's funny, he's personable, he's authentic, right? Like I feel like I'm talking with my next door neighbor, right? I like David, same thing, right? For quality and value, for value more, right? So I don't think it's the motive, to be honest. Like for me, just to be fair, again, you mentioned this is not my career, right? This is a passion. I like being on the stage. If you didn't figure it out, like I'm very good on stage. I love being on stage. I presented to tens of thousands of people. By the way, I never come prepared. Just like this thing, I never prepare anything. I'm very well known for presenting without slides ever. Like I'm talking hour on the stage, no slides. I like talking. I like being on stage. So for me, it's natural. I never planned for it to be like you said. It just came and happened, and I find it interesting and entertaining. I enjoy pre-workouts, obviously, and the other stuff. So yeah, I don't think it's the motive. I think it's, you know, it's like in everything. You know how you meet someone in business, Robert, and let's say you interview a designer, and he sits down, and you say, okay, show me your work, and you look at his work. It takes you 2 seconds to say, okay, this guy or this girl is different. They have something. This is okay. They have an edge, or you look and say, okay, you're okay. You're just okay, or you're so. And it's not about the motive. They all have the same motive. They want to sell you design services, right? So is you're just either good at it or not. So yeah. So I think YouTube is an interesting medium. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday about TikTok and the phenomenon of people becoming like, overnight successful and going viral, and people trying to crack the code and going viral. Listen, the code on going viral is something needs to be actually viral. And the code on being successful, you actually need to be good. Maybe sometimes you and me watch something, and actually happens a lot, in movies or whatever, and you say, I don't get it. Like, by the way, there's movies I watch, I don't get it, but people love it. Like, it's successful. So my observation there is not the movie sucks, is that I don't understand how to build movies that a lot of people not like me like. That's the observation. I don't know how to build movies, or I don't know what a movie that I hate and hundreds of millions of people like looks like. So anyway, so I think it's less the motive, it's more the product, right? Let's go
Well,
with the
yeah.
product.
And speaking of that, like you said, about movies, obviously we all have different views. We have different tastes. I mean, I just actually went to the movies. I watched Knock at the Cabin, M. Night Shyamalan movie, which,
Yeah, my wife Sigal watched it.
yeah, it's one of my favorite directors, and I love him.
Sigal hated it. She said the
I
movie is
hated the
stupid.
movie so much.
Okay.
I thought it was the shittiest movie I've seen in a
Yeah,
long time. I
that's what
actually,
she
it got
said.
so bad that I got pissed that I wrote my own review on Rotten Tomatoes because I thought it was just garbage, like an absolute
Right,
garbage
that's
of a
what she
movie.
said.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
hold on a second, is something wrong with me? Because the reviews are pretty good. I mean,
Oh, are they?
yeah,
Interesting.
they're not phenomenal, but they're pretty good. And again, it's one of my favorite directors. It's like you review products, right? And sometimes
Yeah.
you review 10 products by this company and you loved all of them, and then number 11 comes and you hate
Yeah,
it.
it
It's
just
bad.
sucks. Yeah. And he is a good director. What was the
He's
name
an
of that?
amazing director. And I was like, this is the director that wrote
Lost.
and directed Sixth Sense, which is, I think, a genius of a
Right,
movie.
Sixth Sense. And what was
And
the one in the forest that he did, Night Shyamalan?
The Village.
The Village. Amazing. Mind blowing.
Amazing movie.
Mind blowing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And this one, I was like walked out of the theater. It was a Sunday. I went to the movies by myself. Sometimes I enjoy just my quality
Yeah.
time with being by myself. And I walked out, and I'm like, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
It happens.
Because either I'm lacking intelligence, or this movie is really dumb because I didn't
I
get
don't know, but how many times over did you see a movie? Like, I saw the last James Bond. I went with my
it. Mhm.
sons. Dude, I wanted to throw up. It was cringe central for me. Disgusting. Like, and all of us, like my son. So sometimes I say, okay, maybe I'm old. Like we started. Okay, my teenage boys, and I have an older son. All of them hated it. I go to the reviews. Man, 7.7 on IMDb, and people like loving it. And so, dude, what am I missing here? Like, so I don't know. Like, so my conclusion. That's what I'm saying. My conclusion is, I obviously think it sucks. So this is not my flavor, and the rest of the people. But clearly, whoever produced it knows how to target people not like me, because a lot of people
And,
like it.
that's exactly where I'm going with this. My question is, so you review, say, a pre-workout, and you think, and
Yeah,
again, let's ignore flavors. I agree with you when it
yeah,
comes
yeah,
to pre-workout, fuck flavors.
yeah,
But
yeah,
let's talk about this. So you review a product, and you love it. You love the
yeah.
pre-workout. Everything
Right.
about the pre-workout you absolutely love. You do
Yeah,
the review, and you state your opinion, where you say, I
yeah,
love this pre-workout, great pre-workout, focus, pump, blah, blah, blah. You're raving about it. Now
yeah,
it's your review, you put it out, people are watching it. And yet
yeah.
somebody comes at you and goes, TJ, this pre-workout is
It
shit. It,
sucked.
it,
Yeah,
it sucks. It doesn't do any of the things.
yeah, yeah.
Basically, directly or indirectly, they're either accusing you
Right,
or saying that you are a
right.
liar, misleading, and
Yeah,
stuff like that. How do you
yeah.
deal
It
with something
happens.
like that? I'm sure you had
No,
to.
so I first luckily, or I don't know how to, what's the right phrase for it, it happens very rarely. So it would happen, if there's, again, I've been blessed with a lot of people probably over the last 5 years that got exposed to the Steam Junkie world, into a lot of brands and a lot of great pre-workouts through my reviews. And so I get, for every, I don't know what, 100 or 1,000 people that say, man, you got me into this and I'm so happy I found this pre-workout and this pre-workout, I'll get one that says, dude, this is bullshit, I tried it, it doesn't do shit for me. And I usually, I mean, you might see, but I very rarely, I'm very different. Like, I do not retaliate. It's like, this is not my style. You know me by now. I do not retaliate. I'm generally speaking a peaceful character. But so I would usually say, dude, I'm sorry it didn't work for you. It worked for like 1,000 other people. Like I had someone, Robik, like this Flame V2. I'm telling you, he didn't try it, but this shit smacks. Like, I'm talking hard fucking hitting. So there's a comment on the review like from 3 days ago. Someone says, I tried this. I'm now at 2 scoops and I can't feel anything. Dude, I'm telling you, like 1 scoop, my heart almost exploded. Like, this thing hit so hard. So what can you say to someone like that? What can I say? Like, okay, you didn't like it. And it happens everything. I get it on Assassin, right? Like, you can see on my reviews, like people say, I don't feel it. I tried Assassin, I don't feel it. Dude, what can I say? I don't feel it. It's okay. Shit happens. Like, if you try, like to your point earlier on the movie, you try 10, one didn't work for you. It's life. What can I say? I don't take it too seriously, right? Like, there's, I also try, I really put an effort into this, in the sense of, I always try multiple, this because we sometimes talk about, I try a lot of times. And if something sucks, which is very difficult, trust me, that's the hardest part. If something sucks, I will try this at least 3 more times, because I want to make sure that it sucked not because of my state of mind, I didn't sleep, I gotta really try it. So, and if I tried it so many times and I give it, yeah, it happens.
It's perfect follow-up. Have you ever tried a pre-workout where you tried it once and it did nothing for you, and then you tried it again and it worked
Yeah,
phenomenal, or vice versa?
actually,
It worked
yeah,
phenomenal. You tried it again and it didn't work. Did it happen to you?
yeah, definitely for me, yes, 100% for me, yes. Mostly though the first version of what you said, that I
And how do you deal
tried.
with reviewing a product like that?
No, so I tried more times, right?
Oh, you
I'm
tried
never,
it.
if I tried more times. So it happened for me specifically, and I'm sure, I don't know, probably for you also. There is a state of mind. Pre-workouts, a good pre-workouts elevate your existing state. So if your state of mind sucks, like you're bothered, if you had a terrible sleep, you slept 2 hours. Let's take whatever. Let's take Assassin. I take Assassin after 2 hours sleep. I take Assassin after 6 hours sleep. Come on, man. I take Assassin after I drank last night. I take Assassin after I didn't drink, and I still had a good night's sleep. I take Assassin when I'm in a good mood. I wake up in the morning, everything is good, just like whatever. Won the lottery. I will take Assassin when I know today I'm gonna get fired. Dude, no assassin can make you happy if you know you're gonna get fired, right? So state of mind. So for me, 99% of the time, I would say it was state of mind or physical. Like, I just didn't have a good sleep or something like that. So I'll try it again. If it sucks consistently, like this errors that I told you, I'm forever. Whoever's gonna watch this one, maybe we'll watch it before I drop the review. Dude, today was my 5th time trying it, which is very hard because it sucks. Once you try it doesn't work. Oh,
And
it's
that
done,
was
doesn't
the
work.
one pre-workout that you used to like a lot.
No, man, listen. I know I saw what you went apeshit on labels are just labels. Dude, mark my words, labels are just fucking labels. It's literally the same label, same shit in it. They changed like the look and feel, right? You see that it's a different manufacturer, but same fucking thing. DMHA, blah blah blah. Dude, like a double espresso. That's what it feels. Maybe a double espresso. Like, so, yeah, and I loved it. Ares Titanium, the original one. I mean, Ares White, the original one, the one I think it was my first big review ever. That shit had something. That shit was, speaking of labels or just labels, it was sparkled with some shit. Like, someone went and put some moly or whatever. By the way, that's why I remember when they stopped it. said, "Are you out of your mind? This shit is fire." But it was enhanced with something. So then they did titanium, which was just great. Titanium was just good DMHA pre-workout. And now it's DMHA nothing, like it's dead. Yeah, so I tried it 5 times. I recorded the review after 5 times. So I suffered 4 times knowing it's gonna be probably shit. But it happened to me also the other way around, to be honest. Like taking something, like I said, having a bad day, going in, feeling the energy, but not feeling it, not flying, not whatever. But then, I know it. Like I have just like my pressure or something like that, something is going on. So if it sucks for 5 times, dude, what can you do?
Do you see in the last couple of years? I mean, you've been doing it. I think Apollon exists for 8 years, and I think you've been doing reviews for about what, 10?
Yes. I think. Wow, has it been so long?
I
You're
mean, you
scaring me
probably have
now.
been doing it for about 8 to 10 years.
I think 8. I think I started like seriously 6 years, but 8 years I've been doing it. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah.
Okay, so
Now
in
you're
eight
tempting me
years,
to check it out.
um, what changes have you
Yeah.
noticed from the day you started doing the reviews to what the industry and products and the state of
Mm,
industry is
yeah.
today? And I mean, besides giving your observation, your opinion on it, would you say the changes are positive or they negative? Do you think we're going backwards, forwards,
It's
or would you
interesting.
say that you think it's a good direction?
I think overall, honestly, there hasn't like I'll split it between placebo and real, right? Placebo, then it feels like there's maybe more changes, like things are maybe better and stuff like that. Real, I don't think it changed a lot in the reality. Like if you worked out 8 years ago and you wanted a good pre-workout, you could probably find a good pre-workout. You know what I mean? Like and get your work done. You could find probably good protein and get the work. So I think the actual actual probably not a lot changed. What definitely changed is variety. It's insane, right? The barrier to entry because of the internet and e-commerce and online and reviews, whatever, the barrier to entry is super low. So there's a lot of these, like temporary in and out brands that come in, do a run, there's a product out, and then they disappear. There's a lot of these, right? So and I think the to get out with a run of like 500, anyone can do, right? It's not that expensive to get 500 out. So you know how many people, Robik, I get like sending me text on Instagram, whatever, say, "Hey TJ, I watched the reviews. I'm launching my own pre-workout. Can you review it?" Right? Like some random people, dude, random people launching their own pre-workout. God knows why, but there's a lot of this. So I think variety definitely changed. There's way more variety. Um, I think there's, which is good. Protein, for example, like more flavors, like you have 100,000. Like, did protein really change? No, man. Like isolate is an isolate. A protein 50/50 has been the same formula for what now? Like 6 years,
From
five
day
years,
one,
6 years.
yeah.
Day one, right? So more flavors, more this. I think there's not. I think there's a placebo feel that things are dramatically improved. If you look at functionality, I don't think it. But I like the variety. Don't get me wrong. I like experiencing stuff. People like flavors. People want variety in their life. So I think that's and I think I don't know if to like my observation though. I have to tell you that my original labels are just labels. Just became worse because people give it to all sorts of funky manufacturers that God knows what they're putting in their shit. Like, like you get all this stuff. A lot of the times the brand is surprised. Like there's
Well,
people
you know what,
which,
and that actually, because a lot of people were asking me if I'm, bashing you or anything like that. Are you actually bashing teaching when you're saying that labels are just labels? You believe in it or you don't believe in it? And I think I explained it numerous times, and I wanna, I guess, clarify it
yeah,
with
sure.
you. Is that, like you said, the bottom line is this is where I'm against. Unfortunately, I'm always for perfection, and I'm changing the formulas almost every
Yeah,
year. trying to get
crazy.
better and better and better. And you know my style, I manufacture with only the best. It has to be manufactured
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah,
you even said it a few times yourself. If it comes from a palm,
yeah.
that's
I
what
know that
is
it's
in
in
it.
it. Yeah,
I said that. Well, I do understand, like you said, you can get, like you said, errors right now, right? So errors, same label, same ingredients, but it's shit.
right,
And it's highly,
right,
highly possible. Why? Because nobody knows where it's manufactured. That's
right.
the main problem. So yes, in that case, 100% labels are just labels. Because
Yeah,
I can put fucking sugar in it, and I put on a label that it has DMHA and DMAA
exactly.
and 600 milligram of caffeine, and that's it. I said what I don't agree with is I don't agree with, because I always thought that we kind of gonna progress and advance where we have full transparency. We're going to have that. Unfortunately, FDA bans good ingredients because they
Right,
feel like it, but they don't actually watch the other part of the industry where people
right.
manufacture whatever they want, they put in products whatever they want. And to me, that's a serious, serious problem. It's a serious offense, because at that point, label can
But
be
but that's but
label.
Robik, you understand that what you just said is exactly why I say labels are just labels.
Oh, 100%. And that's the reason
That
why I
that is
said,
exactly the reason, right? So when I
oh,
heard you talk about it, I was saying you're just proving my point.
100%. I said where I have a problem with a proprietary blend, where people hiding certain things, where people are not manufacturing in proper facilities and stuff like that. That's an issue. That's an
So
issue, and I think it's dangerous. It's dangerous because one of those prop blends, or if it's manufactured not right, you're lucky if you're gonna have sugar
so
or something like that, or a placebo. But what if in your product there is a dangerous compound that can
but
literally
let's
hurt
do this
somebody?
though. But I think still, so just to clear this point out, I think you articulated really well why labels are just labels the way I pronounce it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Because I'm saying I look at this, and I always say this in my reviews. I look at this first, I don't believe it. Like, and even if you, the manufacturer, think that you have it in here, you don't know what they put in it. Second thing, and I know that saying 200 milligrams of DMHA and actually having 200 milligrams of DMHA still doesn't mean shit, because the source of the ingredient matters a lot. I had 1 milligrams of alpha yo that smacked the living, 2.5 milligrams on Assassin V6.5. Dude, that was the strongest 2.5 milligrams of alpha yo in the history of alpha yo. Like, I had pre-workouts with 4 milligrams of alpha yo that didn't smack that hard, because the purity of you remember you had a different source, I think, the
Yeah, we
purity
have
of the
a different
ingredient.
source.
So labels are just fucking labels, even if you have it in it, because the purity matters. Now, I do want to say something about what you just said. Listen, the industry went to the shit. It always was there. By the way, when it was craze, when it was other stuff with people, that's the thing. Because labels are just labels, because people think there's control, right? This is
No,
the
zero.
most loose. This is the most loose environment. I like saying fuck the FDA, but seriously, with all due respect, this is the most loose. You know that because you're selling outside the US. The US is a freaking zoo. You can do whatever you want. The chances of you actually going down are close to zero. Nobody checks anything. You can do whatever you want. So almost officially, you can put on the label whatever you want, not put it in it, and add shit that might kill someone, right? And still, the FDA wouldn't do anything probably. So I think I agree with you. By the way, I would love that for every supplement that people consume to be tested. I don't give a shit if the label is close. Personally, I understand where you're coming. By the way, I totally understand. I think it's stupid to have a proprietary blend.
And
Don't get me
dangerous.
wrong. I think it's stupid. I don't know if it's dangerous. Like, if you had Hooligan as a proprietary, does it make it dangerous? I don't know. I think it's just stupid. Like, seriously, what are you hiding? It's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But for me, like, it doesn't, like, because I don't trust the label anyway, because like Ares Titanium, I just mentioned, is shit. But it could also be like cause me to throw up, because labels are just fucking labels. I don't know what they put in it and what's the quality of the ingredient. So now, if it's
Because there is
proprietary,
no
just more
regulation.
proprietary.
There is literally
There's
no
no
regulation.
regulation.
There is
So
none.
once there's no regulation, and I think you know this better than I do, 99% of supplements going out are not tested.
No.
99%. You think it's more even than 99%? What would you say? I think like it's the vast
No,
majority, right? By
almost.
far.
Yeah. It's about that, because testing costs money.
Testing costs money, so nobody does it. So even the manufacturer of the brand doesn't know exactly. And definitely, even if it's there, you don't test for quality or purity of ingredient. So yeah, so for me, so this brings me to the point at the end. For me, at the end, which I understand, by the way, I fully understand where the statement can be. It's just a factual statement for me. It's not an
No,
opinion. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? It's a factual statement. It's not like saying, but if a pre-workout has an open label and it feels like the label, right? And it feels like the label, and it comes together really nice. It's awesome. If a pre-workout, I think you mentioned there, you guys were talking about Excelsior. Excelsior is actually the perfect. I said it literally. If you look at my thumbnail, it says there's something in it. Put these people in jail. Like that's the
I
thumbnail of
remember
my
that.
review, because clearly they sprinkled shit on this stuff. Like I said it very clearly. Now listen, people like this shit, Robik. What can I do? People love this shit. You know how much you can sell an Excelsior top now?
Well,
It's
I
like
remember.
$300.
You know what? The funny thing is that assassin that you just mentioned, the 6.5,
Right, 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 right.
remember selling for $300.
Yeah, $200. Yeah,
Three
listen,
hundred
this
dollars.
industry is crazy. People on the dark energy, Excelsior, the legendary stuff, right? The stuff that reached legendary status, craze. Dude, it's like been what, 7 years since craze? 8 years? People still on the reply, is this better than craze? Literally, what the fuck do you answer to a question, is this better than craze? What the hell does that even mean? It's like 7 years ago. Do I remember how craze felt 7 years ago? And seriously, move on with your life. But people, they like it. So anyway, I think the bottom line is that with pre-workout specifically, and this is, and I totally understand your point of view. Don't get me wrong. I just think the reality is with pre-workouts, once you, just like we said with flavor, once you take it, what matters is what you feel. Period. With protein, theoretically, you want quality and all that stuff. The label is important because you don't feel shit. So if you want to pay good money for high quality, you want to know that it's high quality. With pre-workouts, assuming you're not going to die, right? What's important at the end of the day is what you're going to feel in the next 3 hours, 4 hours, nootropics, whatever. And really, at the end of the day, I think that's what people are looking for. If it was tested, if the industry was tested, then this would be a totally different ball game. But listen, this is not just not tested. I think it's coming worse, right? Like I don't
Oh,
know who
no,
are these
100%. Nobody gives
manufacturers
a
even.
shit.
Are there more manufacturers, Robik? I don't know. You know this better than I do. Like if you went 6 years ago and now, is there like 10 times the amount of manufacturers also that you can work with?
Oh, there's a shitload of manufacturers because,
Okay.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's easy money and it's a huge investment, but today you have people that are manufacturing out of their basements, and then nobody's gonna fucking check it because it ends up in a store. You can walk into fucking
Right.
stores and you basically can find a lot of illegal, pretty much products. Because
Right. Right.
nobody gives a shit.
Insane. Insane.
So, and
Insane.
like you said, you go to Europe, you go to those countries, it's actually heavily controlled. But over
Oh,
here,
no,
it's
this is the most loose place ever in Israel, right? Originally, dude, you can't get anything in. Like literally, agmatine was not allowed. Like you can't get shit in. And here it's, man, this is freedom. This is the land of the free compared to anywhere else. I saw this. I reviewed a pre-workout. I can't remember where it was, like 2 years ago. Speaking of labels or just labels, it had like DMAA, not bullshit, by the way. 12 milligrams of alpha O, 12 milligrams of alpha O, or what? DMAA and all that stuff.
I remember that one.
GMP facility. It says on the bottom, right? GMP, dude, it's like a fucking designer on Fiverr did the label, and he said, right,
Yeah,
GMP
and nobody's
facility.
going to do it. I see this industry. I'm not saying it's going to get worse because I'll tell you what. I mean, I think you can still make a good product. You can definitely be successful. And I'll tell you another thing is like I see these underground little labs, that God knows what's in them. It's like you said, labels are just labels in that regard
Right,
because nobody's testing. They're manufacturing under no control. It's like
right.
illegal steroids, like not illegal
Yes,
steroids, underground
right.
steroids where
Underground, yeah.
I mean, I remember I spoke about this openly, where I took a prescription testosterone 200 milligram a week, and I felt like Rambo. And then I
I'm
had
sure.
something that was made underground, and I took 600 milligram, and I didn't
You
feel
don't
shit
feel shit.
because there is no
Right.
regulation or anything like that.
Labels
This
are
is
just labels,
exactly the
baby.
same case. This is
Yeah.
exactly the same case. And again,
But
it can be dangerous because you don't know what you're putting in your body.
but But I think, Robert, at the end of the day, and this is where Apollon or whatever the other brands, NutraBio and Dark Labs to some extent, and all these guys, there's a difference between a run of a product, making some noise, and building a brand, right? That's very different. You can do one, you can suck and then disappear, or you can do one, you can be good and then disappear. But building long-lasting brands that are still around, that are growing, that have loyal followers that keep on coming, that develop the portfolio, there's not a lot of brands. Okay, that I will say. There's a lot of products. There's a lot of variety. There's like 7,000 different products out there. Every morning there's a new pre-workout. There's not a lot of brands. There's not a lot of brands that have a following, that have loyalty, that when people say, oh, it's from this company, okay, great, I'm going to give this a shot because I trust it. That doesn't happen. That's hard. That's way harder than throwing out a pre-workout, right? Developing a brand. So that's a real differentiator, I think.
And you know what? If you look at it like today, you can have a brand that is kind of small, maybe underground, maybe not even underground, just a small brand, tiny brand, and making a kick-ass. Maybe I exaggerated, not kick-ass, but a very strong pre-workout. Let's say we don't know what's in it. It doesn't even need. We don't even need to talk about ingredients. But the pre-workout, say for example, is very very strong. Transparent or not, but it's a strong pre-workout and
Yeah.
gives all the benefits that you want. On the other spectrum, on the other hand, you have a pre-workout say Ghost Legend, right? I mean, Ghost
Mm-hmm.
is a big company, well-known company.
Yeah.
The pre-workouts, I mean, I think they're good. I don't think
They're
they're
good.
great, but I think
They're
they
good
good pre-workouts
for what they
um,
do. Yeah.
for what they do. Yet Ghost is going to be far more in demand and far more successful
It's a
than
brand, though.
it's a brand. Then a
Yeah.
smaller brand, and the smaller brand, despite the fact that it's doing well, or in small little circles, it's popular, but it still doesn't spread to the same level as Ghost. And then
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
put the label next to Ghost, and the small
Doesn't
brand
matter. Copy it.
gonna
Yeah.
be is going to be better, and maybe even a better pre-workout,
Yeah. For
but
sure.
Ghost is going to do. So it just goes to show that sometimes having an amazing pre-workout or amazing product or amazing something, it doesn't guarantee you success, because there is a lot that
Of
goes into the
course.
business, a lot of marketing, a lot of
It's marketing mostly,
building.
right? You need to get it in people's hands, right? You need to get it first. You need to listen. Ghost, the pre-workout, like you said, it's a great example because it's a good pre-workout,
It's a
but it's not a
pre-workout.
special. It's not a special pre-workout. It's good. What's special about Ghost is the brand. So you can have 10 times better pre-workouts, open, simple. There's a bunch of super simple, great pre-workouts out there, really amazing. But they're not gonna get it because there's only one Ghost in the sense of the brand appeal and what they've done on consistency from a brand storytelling and all that. So I think the formulas, listen, whether we like it or not, right? I think Apollon is a bit of a different. I'll tell you, like because we talk a lot about marketing, and I think that part of the Apollon DNA is crazy ass loaded formulas, right? It almost doesn't matter if you could do as good as a product from an experience perspective. Experience. I'm not because like you put 50 things on a formula, 10 of them you can feel, 50 of them are on in the lab, they're proven, but in reality, you're not necessarily going to feel them. But part of the brand of Apollon, this is you, right? Because you're the brand. That's you. That's what you do. You go all out, right? So part of you cannot get a formula out with 5 ingredients. It's like against your freaking religion. Your dick will fall probably if you do it. So you want to go all out. That's the brand. That's what Apollon was always about. Your brand is going all out. If I'm Dark Labs, right, which is an amazing brand, super amazing pre-workouts also. My brand is not that. My brand is DMAA, hardcore, to your face experience. That's it. 6 ingredients. I think Flame is like 5 ingredients, but it doesn't matter and they're an amazing brand. But that's their brand for you, and I think you should continue to do that because that's the brand, right? We talk a lot about branding over the years. That's your thing. That's what you stand for. Like if you come out now with a pump formula that has 2 ingredients, like dude, that's so off-brand for you for a powder, right? So off-brand. Or you come with a pre-workout with it's off-brand. Your brand is, dude, I'm gonna put everything in. I'm gonna research. Like people can visualize you sitting in a dark room, fucking reading ingredients, going chat GPT, Google, Bing, whatever, finding all this crazy ass ingredient, saying, what, this is too cheap of an ingredient. Give me the most expensive one. I'm gonna throw it in and build a product that like that's your brand. It's great. Ghost
You know
brand
what?
is ghost brand, right?
Speaking speaking of dark labs, that's an interesting topic because it comes up a few times. People have asked my opinion about it,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And although they make some pretty strong pre-workouts, pretty strong formulas, pretty strong everything, um, nevertheless, as a brand, I think that at one point somebody said that they're going to try to go a little bit more mainstream and stuff. But like you said, everybody should stick to what they do best
Yeah,
because
what
it's
they're
okay
good at. Yeah.
from them. Believe it or not, as much as I tried once Flame, I think I tried the original one, and it's definitely strong. Without a doubt, it's very, very strong.
I don't know.
And
Strong is a big term. It was euphoric
I
as
and
fuck.
even though, like, like for example, I liked Airs, the original one, of course.
Yeah, white.
Um,
Oh my god.
if I go hardcore, then Ares was definitely one of my favorite
Yeah,
because I
Aries
like
white.
him and I like what he does and what he did, and it was very, very good. But Dark Labs, I hesitate to call it a brand, and I'll explain to you why.
Oh, it is a brand for sure.
No, I'll
Tell
explain
me
to you
why.
my
Tell
position.
me why.
I know where it's manufactured. I know where it's manufactured, and
Okay.
I know the kind of a few things behind it. It's actually not only brand. There's two brands that are owners are in one country. It's manufactured in different country, and some of the ingredients are questionable. They are questionable
In what
because
sense?
they very gray area. They very, very gray
I
area.
don't know. Labels are just labels. I just
Yeah,
know the
no,
pre-workouts work.
they very good area. They correspond with their labels. They do correspond. They very one-dimensional.
But
They definitely, I think that at one point, and I'll always admit to something. I think Apollon was Dark Labs because we were basically, like Shane called us, a pre-workout, high
yeah,
stem brand. And to me, I don't see Dark Labs growing to the point where we've seen with Inspired and Ares and all those. I
I
think it's
don't
always
think.
going to have that niche underground kind of approach where it's
Well,
going to
they
have
are a brand. That's
they,
fine, Robik. What you're saying, they're a brand. They're a
well,
pre-workout. Let's
I mean, pretty
let's make
much.
it clear. They are a pre-workout brand for sure, right?
Well, you know what?
100%.
Any company that comes out, even with one or two products, we came out with two products, so we were
Right.
automatically immediately a brand. Good brand or bad brand, popular brand or not popular brand, that's a whole
Super
other
popular.
question.
No, I
So
agree,
they're of course a brand because they have a name
and they're
and
very popular also.
they popular in certain circles,
Very popular.
in
Very
certain
super
circles,
popular.
in certain
In the
circles, like
pre-workout, in
in
the
a
pre-workout
whole,
world,
to me,
hardcore pre-workout.
popular is somebody like Raw, somebody like Legend, somebody like Ghost. Like those brands are popular and they're growing. I see dark labs popping in. There is a reason why, for example, they not shared, say, on Stacked. They not shared on Stacked because of the ingredients, because of the what they represent.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
to
don't know
me,
why they're not
it's a
sure.
better it's a
But
better version of Excelsior. It's a better version of Excelsior, but which is also a brand. But
no,
it,
Excelsior. No, I don't know if I agree with you there. I think that there's. I think again, for the pre-workout, for the pre-workout consumer, for the hardcore pre-workout consumer, for the people who look for steam junkie pre-workouts, which by the way, Poland, that's where you guys started, right? That's where a lot of
I
the
think
people
that's
that
where
we
we
did.
started, and we kind of like initiated the whole trend.
Yeah, sure. By the way, 100% agree. And then I think Dark Labs in that space, in the hardcore, is a big ass brand. Now, is that Ghost? No, of course not, because Ghost, but also Poland is not Ghost, because Ghost is general market, right? It's not Redcon One. It's not. So I think like for what but it is a strong. By the way, I think they have again like there's not. That's what I'm saying. There's not a lot like them, like you, like them. There's not a lot. People who have a long-standing brand, consistent, right? Do not just disappear into shit. that are standing true to their core. Okay, because brands can go, Redcon One, great brand, right? Or a big brand, let's call it. I don't know, great. Started very good, hardcore, and then became the mother of all mainstreams, right? And cheap formulas and all this shit. So they didn't stand core to their brand values originally, but they became really big, and maybe they decided to go that way. Ghost always true to their core values, right? Always, never stopped. You guys never stop. Dark Labs also think never stop. Again, I don't test the ingredients, so I don't know. I know the pre-workouts work. For me, it's
Well,
a
you know, I
simple
mean,
word, right?
the key point is that they do.
By the way, Excelsior is not even the brand, right? That's why I'm saying actually the company is not a brand. That was a product. Excelsior is a legendary product. The company is Imperial Nutrition. Nobody even freaking remembers the name. So
Well, because
Excelsior is like Craze. What was the name of the company of Craze?
that's where I agree with labels are just label, because Imperial Labs, they had a pre-workout and they had a fat burner, both in
Right, the fat burner. Well,
yeah,
the
and both in a proprietary blend,
Ooh.
both in a proprietary blend, both clearly spiked, both clearly containing illegal substances.
The problem wasn't proprietary. The problem was spiked.
Yeah, well, they were hiding behind a proprietary blend because they were spiked. They manufactured nobody knows where. That in itself is not that it's illegal, because obviously, no, you can sell anything here, but it was reckless and dangerous, in my opinion, because people don't know what's in it. And you know how it is. You give it to kids, a kid's going to take 2 scoops, 3 scoops. And that's where we have an issue, because we don't know what's in a product.
What I'm saying, Robert, is even if it was an open label, they could still sparkle it with shit. Nobody cares about
you know, I mean, obviously it wasn't manufactured in a legit facility. Everybody knew that as well. And I have, you know, when people were saying, "Oh, Luke, you know what? The best 2 pre-workouts, Assassin and Excelsior," that used to piss me the fuck off.
Yeah, I don't know why, by the way.
I'll explain to you why. Because you have Excelsior, who is clearly, like you said, spiked. It's pretty obvious. Because if you take cocaine and you put on cocaine label that it has just caffeine, and somebody takes it and goes, "Oh my God, this is the strongest caffeine I've ever had. This is the best caffeine," you know, and then you compare it to Assassin, and you say, "Well, this is a pre-workout and that is a pre-workout."
Yeah, but they're both on the shelf in the store.
I think only a person that owns a brand can appreciate a real brand, how hard it is to go through. Because don't forget, I was the first one to put 80 milligram of DMA in a product. 80 milligram, and not DMA that they put today in underground labs. I was putting a legit 80 milligram of real DMA in a GMP facility because it was allowed. As soon as they said that DMA is illegal, I said, you know what? I don't want to go down that route. I want to make sure that we make supplements with ingredients that are allowed. So I was like, you know what? DMA is out. I'm not going to go down that route. I'm going to actually continue in a supplement industry, in a dietary supplements. I'm not going to use something like that, because we have a choice as to what we manufacture, as to what we put out for people. And that's very, very important, in my opinion, because I have responsibility as somebody who is, I would consider myself a decent human being, where I don't want to put out either potentially dangerous or illegal substances, because I can get into the store selling something with DMA. Is it going to be a legit DMA? No, because I have to manufacture it in an underground facility. Then a review comes out and somebody says, well, top 5, Excelsior and Assassin. And
I still don't know why, but let me suggest a different view. I understand where you're coming from because you're passionate about what you do, but in the reality, on the pre-workout shelf, whether it's a virtual shelf or on the shelf, they're both there as a pre-workout. And the consumer is going to buy both of them, whether you like it or not, unless you decide to make it.
I 100% agree with you.
So, so they're both top 5. It is what it is.
I 100% agree with you. There is a legal and there is a moral responsibility.
Yeah, if you want the top 5 legal pre-workouts, then maybe.
I think that if I to review pre-workouts, if I'm to review pre-workouts, I'm not going to review personally. That again, that's completely personally, because I can't.
Illegal ones? What?
I'm not going to review illegal ones.
I don't know
because
why.
I don't want it. I don't want it on my conscience. I know that dark labs, for a reason, is not considered or accepted in a certain circles, and there is a reason for it because it
But
just like, well, not just like Apollon, because it is a brand, but it's a very dark brand with some
uh,
questionable ingredients, with a very questionable manufacturing, and they manufacture also SARMs, which are also not exactly legal. So
because
they have their
nuts.
market. They do, yeah, they do SARMs. They do SARMs. You know, I mean,
I didn't even know. I never
yeah, they
tried
do
this. I don't
SARMs.
know.
So if a facility manufactures SARMs and the same facility manufactures pre-workouts and whatnot, then
Yeah.
clearly, it's not exactly 100%
I think
kosher.
it's a disservice. I think it's a, and by the way, I fully respect where you're coming from. And if you decide to review, then don't review legal. I think for let's say for me as a Steam Junkie review channel, right? It's a disservice not to review this stuff. By the way, I just want to turn this around and
But you
just
could you could you could technically put a disclaimer and say, like,
of
listen,
what?
I'm not responsible because you have three sons. Would you want
Disclaimer
me?
of what? That says that this is, I'm not
No,
a doctor? What?
no, not that. But
So what?
hear me out. You have three sons. If I'm to review products and your sons
Yeah,
are listening to me, and I'm going
yeah,
to review something and I'm going to say, like, oh my God, this product is amazing product. It fucking slaps. It gives great
yeah,
energy, great
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
By the
yeah.
way, I don't know if this is manufactured in a legit facility.
I
But
said it.
I don't
Dude, I
know
literally
what's
said
in
it on Excelsior. I literally said it. I don't know what's in it. By the way, dark energy, I said the same. The rest of the industry, though, all of them manufacture God knows where. So, and Robik, I just want to tell you something, food for thought for after the podcast. You know which pre-workout I got the most amount of shit for reviewing? Yours.
Oh,
Hooligan
I
600
give
milligrams.
you a doubt.
I heard people that sound exactly like you right now, literally copy paste, just replace the names that said you are responsible. You're telling people to take this
Oh, I
shit.
hear that
I
all the
can't believe you
time.
are promoting this stuff.
But,
So,
but and again, I would never defend myself. I'm just stating the obvious. Again, I feel, and I'm kind of proud of it, like Excelsior, Dark Labs, they followers of what I've created first. But when
yeah,
I created it, I manufactured at the very same facility where I manufacture today. But if I picked up the phone and I said to my manufacturer, you know what? Let's go back to Assassin with DMAA. He's going to tell me to go fuck myself. Why?
yeah,
Because he doesn't do it and he doesn't break the
I
law.
understand.
And
I
and the thing
understand.
is that I still do it by the book. I've done it by the book back then.
Yeah.
I still do
I
it by the
think,
book. I mean, the next assassin that's going to come, I'll tell you right now, I would hesitate to take that product. That's not a product for me. It's going to be in a traditional assassin. It's going to be very, very strong. You will not
yeah,
find one illegal substance in it. It's definitely
yeah,
going to get tested, like always does.
yeah,
And I will still say, like, and I say that about my pre-workouts. I said I was the first one to say about Hooligan that it's not my favorite or go-to pre-workout. I still
correct. Yeah,
manufacture it because it's our business. It's definitely our business. But you know what? And I agree with you when it comes to FDA, I think that sometimes they kind of go a little bit too far with banning certain ingredients that should not get banned. And I think things should be a little bit better regulated. I can tell you that my manufacturing, and it's not just mine, because I'm not trying to promote myself right now. I know that a lot
yeah,
of other companies, I manufacture the same place where Evogen does manufacture, where Jim Stepani does manufacturing. I know that when my manufacturer receives the ingredients, first he puts them in a quarantine and he tests them for purity, just like NutriBio does. And
yeah,
only if
yeah.
it's pure and if it tests what it's supposed to be, only then it goes into container. Obviously each and every step costs extra money, extra
Yeah.
expense. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah.
can definitely verify
That's
that
why, by the
that
way,
the
that's why
vaccine from
NutraBio has a
Hooligan
following, right?
is going
Loyalty.
to is costing 3, 4, 5 times
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
Excelsior, but Excelsior sells for $70, which you understand very well.
because
People
it's
are
smart.
getting ripped off. They are getting ripped off. On a wholesale aspect, they were selling it, I believe, for $30 or $40
Yeah,
for a
I don't know
product
if
that
they're,
was $5 to make.
that's where Anyway, I think we have a bit of a different view here, and it's okay. I don't know. Ripped off is a
It is
very
ripped off. Not
I don't
only
know
are
why
they,
you're comparing it to. I can tell you, Redcon One is a ripoff. If I'm paying $30 for something that costs 3.5.
no, that's called
So
business. That's called business. They
why?
not do
Why is
anything
this ripped off? Because it's drugs?
because it's not illegal. Because it's not illegal. And I
No, but
know
that's what
where.
I'm saying, Robik. I think you're asking the question at the
Would
core
you
here.
allow your son to take
What?
Excelsior?
Yeah.
You would.
Yes.
Okay.
I would
That's
definitely
what
tell
you
him. By the way, I would definitely
would.
tell him. I took. No, I will. Listen, trust me. My son takes stuff that's harder than Excelsior. I'm sure. Like if I'm okay with him drinking alcohol once in a while, then he can take Excelsior. If he would tell me I'm gonna take it every day for
But
whatever
you know
years,
the alcohol that he drinks, and he knows what kind of alcohol he drinks. He actually has a choice.
no,
He
but I'm
has a
saying I
choice.
tried
What if he
Excelsior
wants-
enough
what
times.
if he want- if he goes to a liquor store, he can take beer, he can take
Yeah,
liquor, he can take vodka, he
yeah,
can take rum. He makes a choice. When he goes and buys Excelsior based on your recommendation or any other
yeah,
channel because it says it's
yeah.
very good, he might be buying cocaine. He
No,
might be
no, I
buying.
understand. So,
It's possible.
Robik, I fully understand because I said
I'm
Excelsior is
only
fine.
talking about that because I think that's reckless.
I fully
You should
understand,
have some
but
responsibility.
99% of the shit that I review that is not spiked and is dangerous, maybe because it's manufactured in a shithole. I don't know where it's manufactured. You could argue the same thing. So what I would say is this. I think first I'm saying very honestly that I like my son can try dark energy. I still have a tub here, and that shit is spiked also with something. I don't know what, but it's spiked. If he wants to try it, he can try it. It's not enough to get addicted to, but he can try it if he wants to. Definitely dark labs. Obviously, my son actually likes is using Lionheart. That's what he actually likes because the
That's
other
what
stuff is too. Yeah, I knew you would say that
I.
for him because the other stuff is too much. But and bare knuckle. But anyway, regardless, I understand where you come from. I think, but listen, in the big picture of things, if you take the Excelsior stuff outside for a second, because there's not a lot of spiked, to be fair. It comes, like there was Craze originally, Excelsior was spiked, Dark Energy
There
had
are many.
something.
You're right. You're absolutely right. There are many that are
There's like
spiked.
4 or 5 that are like sprinkled with shit. The rest is just somewhere between tested and just shit manufacturing and like liars and lying,
Yeah.
right? So it's and there could be as dangerous. I think with the big picture of stuff, at the end of the day, people, it's because it's such an unregulated environment, people are gonna get to it. So I think, and then to close this argument, when I take this shit and try it, I do a service because I'm gonna die first if if something happens.
Fair enough.
So
No. I think, like I said, it's a healthy argument, and I think we presented pretty solid cases on both sides, and I think that's something interesting to see it from that perspective. To flip a coin, I'm going to ask you
yeah,
about, we shit on some hardcore products, including my own, but let's go with the legit ones.
yeah,
So if we are saying that underground labs and, the hardcore brands sometimes spiking or maybe a
yeah.
little reckless with certain dosages, that's one thing. But what about the so-called good brands, legit
Mhm.
crappy brands that
Yeah,
barely have anything in them? They go not to you, they go to, and you know where I'm going with this, they
yeah.
going to other channels that
Price
are
flow
making
and
them
others, yeah.
out to
The
be
sponsor.
these great products. These channels
Yeah,
criticize you for what you've done, and we've seen the
yeah,
criticism
yeah,
because
yeah,
we've seen it. And again, I'm not
yeah,
bashing them. We're having a conversation, so
yeah,
we're having
yeah,
open
yeah.
conversation. But these channels are bashing you for being reckless, for
Right,
being
right.
irresponsible,
Yeah.
for being
For years
dangerous.
now. Yeah,
Exactly. But they
yeah,
are glorifying,
yeah,
obviously, be getting paid, but they glorifying products
yeah.
that are not good, that are
Right.
not good enough
With
to
our
get.
basic. Yeah.
Not only that,
Right.
they sometimes even award them product of the year and brand of the
Right.
year.
Right.
Not.
Right. Right.
I think that's just as bad. Don't you agree? For the
Yeah,
industry.
I think it's worse. I don't think it's as bad. I think it's worse. Listen, I think you remember when we had a podcast with Dan from Ghost, who's such a sweet guy. I love
Yeah.
him. Like he's such a great guy. And we talked about price flow and the relationship with price flow and all that stuff. And I told him one thing. I was probably way more colorful than I am right now, if I remember correctly. Like I was going
Oh
a bit
yeah,
more apeshit.
we both were. We went too far.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, but what we said at the end of it, I told him. I said, listen, I totally understand that I can see the value. I'll be very specific. I see the value of having your shit on price flow, for example, fitness informed, whatever. And I'll tell you why. I don't see. I think that them doing reviews, right? They can do content, they can write blog posts, they can do product breakdowns, they can explain ingredients. Doing reviews, I think that's dishonest. Like, don't do reviews. Like when Dan, and the reason I mentioned Dan, because when we went apeshit on this price flow thing, and he said, no, listen, we do not have a platform where we talk about the ingredients behind. So we wanted a third party. He didn't say it he said it in so many words. He didn't use
Yeah.
probably what I'm saying right now. They said, I want a trusted third party that will talk about the ingredient. I said, awesome. Totally get it, by the way. Like if I Google ghost ingredient or what's inside ghost, instead of getting to the ghost website, I'll get to price flow. Great. There's like an analysis of what's in it. Like it's the type of stuff that Robert Samborsky would write. Awesome. A review though, dude, seriously, a top 5 where all top 5 is the ones that are paying you a monthly. That's stupid. That's dishonest, right? That's like all these affiliate sites on the web that just the number one is always the one that pays the most amount of commission on affiliate, right? So that's dishonest. So I think there's a place for these guys, for the content providers, because you want a third party. It's, by the way, I can tell you, my real business is not this, right? Believe it or not, shit like that exists. There's the price flow of cybersecurity. Literally, there's price flow for cybersecurity. There's price flow for B2B software. There's this type of service exists, and that's totally okay. But they don't do reviews. Like they won't sit down and say, "Okay, this guy paid me, so I'll tell this thing is amazing." No, they're content providers. They're a hub. They'll publish your shit. They'll distribute it. They'll do comparisons. That's totally fine. That's where I think it's dishonest to do. I remember it always made me laugh when Priceflow used to do top. I don't think they still do it. I don't think they do it anymore.
What?
Because YouTube is dead for them, so I don't see them anymore, like on YouTube. But maybe they're on other platforms. I don't know if they do top stuff.
Mostly TikTok.
They're on TikTok. Oh, really?
I think so.
So awesome, good for them. I think there is a place. I understand the business model. I understand where the partnership comes in. I also think it's a good platform to get awareness with retail, right? Because a lot of the industry, I think the biggest audience for PriceFlow is the industry. So the industry, if you want to you say, hey, I launched a new product, it's out there and stuff like that. So you can get that exposure or fitness informant, whatever. I think for breakdowns and analysis and science, great. Don't do reviews. Don't do paid reviews. That sucks. That sort of sucks. And but listen, I never.
Is that I would not pay attention to what they do. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't give a fuck. And the only reason why I started, I guess, I don't want to say attacking them, but maybe criticizing them. That's a better word, I guess. But the only reason why I started doing it is when they actually stepped onto our territory.
Yeah, right.
You know, that was retaliation. I never attacked them, but somebody who is clearly dishonest does fake reviews because it is fake. Glorifying products and ingredients that don't deserve to be glorified or raved about. But they would come on and say, "Well, pollen sucks," or they would say, "Fitness
dangerous,"
because they promote, dangerous products and stuff like that, which is not necessarily true because I do know that you, for example, I remember that you gave very, very good review to Ghost, which is heavily.
Yeah, I liked it. I told you. Remember, I told you Ghost Pump is amazing.
And it is.
Tried it out. Yeah, it's amazing.
But everybody, remember, I even think that you started your review with something about the fact that people are going to be surprised because everybody bashed the product.
Yeah, I wanted to hate them. Yeah, but it was a solid product. Yeah. I think you're right on the price post stuff. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, doesn't matter really, right?
You know what? I wanted to ask you. Now we touched upon products and pre-workouts and reviews, but since you're doing reviews and you've been doing it for quite some time, and you are sort of OG when it comes to
Mhm.
reviews, do you have you noticed a trend by certain review channels to say copy or borrow your style of reviewing products?
I think
And
there's
if yes, does
listen.
it bother you?
No, it doesn't bother me a lot, to be fair. Like there's I think there's in the review space there's only so many ways to do a review. So like if people copy going over the like having an intro, going over the label, talking about the experience, and then I mean what can you do? I mean that's that's just the reality of how a review is built. What's the other alternative? I'm not sure there is. There's some style is very hard to copy, right? Just because it's personality. So there is a personality trait. Some people are similar in personality, so it might sound similar. I don't get a lot of honestly. I don't pay a lot of attention to it, Robik. To be fair, like I don't watch a lot of it. Doesn't bother me too much, like in this sense. I also think like that's why again speaking of Ari, like Ari and me, like we're doing reviews and stuff, but it's like one of my best friends, right? Because there's like it's like we're just doing it, right? There's no animosity whatsoever. We like is a great person. I don't think there's enough place people want to watch it. They want to watch different styles. Some people will like this style. Some people will like this style. There's enough shit also out there. Like I don't review so many products also, so there's enough products for everyone else to review. Yeah, I don't get bothered, to be honest. I think that there's some probably that are more competitive, right? But maybe for the ones that are more competitive, it's way more important. I don't know how to say it. Like it's maybe their lifeline or something like that. For me, it's not. So I don't bother with it too much. I don't bother with
If
it too
you're
much.
saying, I mean, number one, there are not that many legit reviewers where with
Yeah, there's
thousands
not a
of
lot.
followers
Yeah,
and
there's not a
whatnot.
lot.
I mean, it's the same thing as I don't know, different movies, like different movie genre. I mean, everybody has
Yeah,
a movie, but they're not necessarily competing unless they're competing for an Oscar or something like that.
right,
There is no
right.
competition. I noticed, and let's be honest, some review channels do compete. They do.
Yeah,
They,
yeah.
they do, even if basically, even if you don't want to, they will compete with you.
Oh,
Uh,
they are competing. Yeah, for sure.
uh, but does it make any sense to compete?
No, I think it really depends what you're. Listen, I think there's I'll tell you where the competition is, right? First, I don't think that it makes any sense. To be fair, to like be emotional about it. I think that there's some cases where it's emotional, which I don't understand. That's why I love Ari, right? Like there's zero emotions involved in this thing. But there's maybe more people that would be a bit more emotional about it, and I understand why it's competitive. Sometimes maybe you want to be first, maybe you want to be considered the biggest, the smartest, whatever. Again, like for me, I understand. Listen, for me, it doesn't make any sense all this competition. Like if people like watching your shit, they'll watch your shit. If they don't like watching your shit, they won't watch your shit. Right? That's very simple. And if you provide value in the way that you deliver, then they'll continue watching you. So there's some, you're right. There's definitely competition. There's help there, in some cases it's healthy, in some cases maybe it's less healthy. I've never participated, or I don't want to say never. I rarely engage right in this shit. I rarely engage. Like my position is, let the content talk, let the people decide if they like what they like to watch. There's enough pre-workouts out there. Listen, even for me personally, like you know this, like I compared to the other channels, including I mean I review maybe 1/10 amount of products, right? I do 2 reviews a week in a great week. So and a lot of others review like 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever. I don't know how many. So there's enough space out there. I don't bother.
As we are coming
Yeah,
to soon to a close of
yeah,
the show, just a couple of things. So when it comes to reviews, for example,
yeah.
this is going to be one of my questions. you clearly have your stance, and I respect that, by the way, greatly.
Hmm.
Obviously, we are friends, and you always review my products, and I'm grateful for that. And but when you review any products, you
Yeah.
basically focus a lot on performance aspect. You do cover
Experience.
the ingredients. You do cover the ingredients. You do break them down. You clearly ignore flavors. That's your stance on it. Whether it's right or wrong, that's your stance, and you've been firmly believing the
Yeah.
stance
On
on the fact that
pre-workouts.
you
Yeah.
ignore flavors. You don't discuss prices, and you don't
No.
discuss any of that. So that's your stance. Now, if we take,
Yeah.
for example, Ari is more of an entertaining, experienced guy.
But he's very good in the experience
Yeah,
description.
he
It's
self-admitted
perfect.
that he doesn't understand the ingredients very well.
Doesn't
He's not
dive deeper. Yeah.
knowledgeable. And I told him many times, as much as I didn't like him at first, when I got to know him, and I remember you introduced us,
The
I
best
literally
guy
fell in
ever.
love with the guy because he's just
I
comes
love.
from such a dark.
Literally, Ari is top five people I love in the
Yeah,
world. Like
he
he's such
comes
an
from a
awesome
very
guy.
dark place, but he basically reinvented himself, and he's helping people. He's helping a
He's
lot of people,
amazing.
actually.
Yeah, yeah, he's
And
amazing.
he's entertaining. He's all about experience. Now we're
Yeah,
gonna go to David, who is one of my all-time favorites right now. I mean, I
yeah,
really respect the guy. He's
yeah.
knowledgeable.
He's your label person, baby.
Yeah, he is. He's a great person I like the fact that he breaks down each ingredient and very knowledgeable on it.
He's very
And
knowledgeable.
yeah,
Yeah,
so he has his kind of niche. Then
yeah,
you have
yeah,
Review Brothers. They do focus
yeah.
on the exact actually opposite of you because they do focus on a price. They actually
Yeah.
have a price point and price per serving. They
Right.
also they also give a score on that 1 to 10,
Yeah,
just like
yeah,
they do with flavors, which is also exact
yeah.
opposite of you.
Good,
Uh,
good for them.
I guess they break down and they have that entertainment aspect where they almost like do little movie segments and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah,
Uh, if you were not a reviewer, this is going to be very
yeah,
tough. So
yeah,
I just illustrated four different channels.
yeah.
Which
Which one
one
would I watch?
would you no. Which one would you recommend to a friend and why?
Ari, 100%.
Explain.
Because because I would tell him, what do you want to know? He says, I want to know if this shit works. Watch Ari.
Okay,
He'll tell you
no,
if this shit works. And if he tells me, hey, listen, I'm majoring in biochemistry and whatever, then I will tell him, watch David if he wants to major in biochemistry. If he likes a British accent and some quirky skits, then watch the Review Bros. Listen, each and everyone has a space. They have all have followers. Me personally, I think like if my son would come again, back to my son, right? Like, and you know my boys, right? You know all of them. If they would come and would say, "Hey, listen, I'm looking for a pre-workout. Which one to watch?" Right? And because I was looking at this, they don't give a flying fuck about what's in it or not. They want to know if it will make them fly, if it will get them, energized and shit like that. So I would say go for the experience. By the way, David describes the experience also awesome. David is also very good with the experience. He's just very smart also on the label and all that stuff, right? But I think for me, like Ari is very close to my style, right? Like we're close. We're entertaining in a different fashion, maybe, but we're very close. And also I'm a bit biased because I just love Ari. So he's such a great guy. I
He's a
love him.
great guy. He has
He's
a
an awesome guy.
I mean, this is a guy where I said many times he will send me,
Shabbat
on
shalom. Yeah,
Friday, random fucking message going Shabbat Shalom.
yeah,
I'm like,
Shabbat shalom.
okay,
Coming
Shabbat
from the
Shalom.
heart also. He's an
And
awesome, awesome,
that's very
awesome guy.
cool. And I gotta ask you last question
Yeah,
because this
sure,
one
sure.
is. I never ask you about reviews. I never ask you about reviews about
Yeah,
our products. I never, but
yeah,
this one I have to ask. And you can
please.
give me something or not, but I'm gonna ask you anyway.
Yeah, go
How
ahead.
challenging it is for you to review Casanova. I had to.
I'm actually, no, I'm looking forward. For me, this is the biggest problem is getting my wife to agree to do the podcast.
So she's part of the review.
She has to be part of the review, right? Like that's the biggest part. I need to get her to do the workout.
No, like I said, But in all honesty, you know what? Before we wrap it up, I want to say, TJ, you have contributed a lot, I think, to the industry with your reviews, and I think you pointed people in a right direction, expressing your opinion. You are always very vocal, and you always kind of stand your ground, and I respect you for that tremendously. You know, even when I love to agree with you, and you know, I pick your brain on a lot of subjects, and I'm grateful for that. And I love to disagree with you because it's always a very healthy discussion,
Yeah.
and I think it's actually a lot of fun. So you know, I want to thank you for this podcast. I want to thank
Yeah,
you for
thank
coming
you.
on, and you know, I want to wish you continuous success with what you do, reviews, and your other life, the real life.
Thank you,
You
real
know,
life.
you have a wonderful family, and give them my best. And thank you very much
I
for
will.
this.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you guys.
All right, guys, thank you so much,
Thanks,
and
man.
take care.
Thanks. We'll be in touch.